now allows me, instead of having to click on each individual one and click through and go back and through all this stupid menu here, I can now go in here and do the same thing in this editor. Very, very helpful. If you just give me a moment, I need to run to the restroom and I'll come back and we will show you a little bit of this editor. Okay, sorry, I'm back. So this editor here is really nice, really convenient. It allows you to just adjust everything instead of having to go through all the menus manually. Very, very helpful. I can change all the colors I want of like armors, and then I can override individual colors for each piece of the armor if I want to change them to something different than the overall. And then again, you can adjust each piece to have their own unique look or whatever you want to it. It's very, very, very helpful. Very, very useful tool. And again, you can change all the colors of everything. If I didn't want this leather color to be this, I could change the leather up a little bit to a different color. Things like that. So all different ways to edit it. The only thing it does not touch in this editor is your cloak and your helmet. You still have to go through the menus to edit those, but this does get your overall armor. Now, do keep in mind that depending on the type of armor that you wear or the type of outfit in general, so if you're wearing clothes versus wearing armor, you're going to have different outfits. So this isn't, you'll need to like save outfits for different types of stuff that you're wearing. But a very good editor to learn it and all that. Spend some time in it, make your character feel more unique. I highly recommend it. I'm all about appearance. And anybody who's watches my streams knows I'll sometimes spend like an hour and a half, 2 hours on a character's look. Like I like to feel unique when I make my characters. Once we're done with that now. I'm gonna bring my resolution back up so you can kind of read everything. Once you've selected your deity, had your character to level 2 and such, and if you want to putz around with the customization there, you can. Don't have to there. You can do it at any time. We're going to go to one of these entry doors. There's a couple of them here. We're just going to go to this entry door. Little animation's going to play, and this is where we get to select if we want to go into Aerolith, if we want to stay here for a little bit and research more. There is a help desk clerk you can talk to that can also give you more information about Aerolith and everything that you'd want to know about contacting DMs, all that settings, all that, like where is it in terms of lore. And they also have a nice, good advice for new players and such that can help you. So it's very, very good to read up on this if you're new. So we're gonna go here. We're gonna hit the entry door. We're gonna hit enter Aerolith, and we're gonna have a few different options when you first select in here. If you're playing a slave or an outcast or a slave, you're gonna be starting in Andador, which is the Underdark. That's the only option you're gonna get, unless that's changed. I'm pretty sure that's still the only option you get. If you're playing like a dwarf or you're playing like a halfling, you can select. If you're a halfling, I think you can select Bendir as your starting city, and if you're a dwarf, you can select Brog as a starting location as well, because those are like race-specific cities. But as a human, we get the options between Skull, Corridor, and Sencliff. Sencliff is the pirate one, and I would not do this if you're new. Like, don't do this in the beginning. Like I said earlier, do the pirate stuff when you have more familiarity and are comfortable with the systems and how the server plays. Corridor is a good starter. It is. You can definitely meet a lot more players. I'd say if you want to get more role play in, join Corridor, get to know some of the veterans of the server there, and there's a lot of help and assistance that can help you get started. But it is a little bit more overwhelming on Corridor. The new player experience, in my opinion, will always be Skull. That's fine. I'm gonna make a highlight of this later, and I'll have it saved on my channel, so you can always view this later, and go over anything I've kind of covered. Skull, though, is kind of the new player experience on Aerolith. It's one that I will always recommend. In the past, I used to not recommend Skull because of how it used to run. But I have a feeling that I'm not the only one who voiced my opinion on the state of what Skull used to be. I'm sure there was many others who had the same opinion that I did. I had like a 5 or 10 minute rant I did, and like shortly after that rant, they suddenly made changes. So I like to think I'm part of the reason for it, but I know I'm not the only one. I know there was many other people who had very much the same opinion that I did on it. And that Skull was really... It advertised itself as a new player experience, but it didn't give you that feeling if you had played on it prior to the updates that they've done to it now. Now I would say Skull is definitely like the new player experience and like a very good place to make a character. And even as a veteran, like I still put characters on Skull because I actually like the leveling experience and a lot of the progression in Skull more than I do anywhere else. The only like negative things I will say about Skull, this is something you'll learn over time as you make characters, is that the economy in Skull can be a little bit subpar at times for critical things that you might need for helping your like overall quality of life. But the community itself is getting better about offering like those services there. But anyway, we're gonna take Skull. So it's gonna port us right onto the boat here as we enter Skull. When we first walk onto this dock here, and we start walking here, it's gonna tell us visit the mayor's office basically, and you'll hit level 3. So we're gonna go up here. Hey, what's going on, Sarah? I'm just doing a quick little guide here to help Panda here and anybody else that I'm gonna save this video for later on getting started on Aerolith and just how to get started in Skull in general. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna run past all of this and go to the mayor's office. Run past all these players, all of this, and we're gonna go into the mayor's office here. Here, we're gonna go talk to him. Well met. And you're gonna see we hit level 3. So before we do anything else, we're gonna level up, right? And now this is where I'm gonna select my skills, which pretty much I'm gonna take discipline, heal. I could take leadership, I guess. We're gonna take lore. I don't think any of the classes we're taking is gonna give us tumble, so we're gonna cross-class tumble. I'm gonna save points for UMD and spellcraft later. I think we've got room for other stuff that we can take. I'm gonna take craft mastery. I probably could take intimidate or leadership. Either one of these are helpful. Skills. Leadership in general will like help you with giving bonuses to your teammates and also like boosts the amount of money you can get for turning in heads. It's kind of a helpful skill, and you can also like recruit NPCs in town depending on your leadership skill. There'll be like random NPC mercenaries that you can like add to your party. So if you're like certain solos, it helps with soloing, which may not be bad in the beginning. You know, taking leadership, if it's a class skill, I'd say take it if you can fit the points into your build. Otherwise, intimidate's not a bad skill as like a fighter to have because it can like you can debuff your enemy a bit with intimidate checks. It's kind of helpful. I think we'll just take leadership for now. I'll leave the other 2 points for what I need. I need UMD and I need spellcraft, but we're gonna take those later down the line. For level 3, this build that we're following on the guide takes Iron Will. As a fighter, you're gonna have a lot of like your reflex and your will save may not be the best, so a lot of these feats help us with boosting those up. All right, now that we're level 3, we're going to talk to the mayor. We're going to say, I'm here to talk about work. And what this is going to do is it's going to give us our writ paper, and the writs are your quests. You can take 3 quests every 19 hours real time. So basically 3 quests a day. So when we talk to him, we're going to say ask about work. He's going to give us an option of 2 different types of writs. If you're somebody that likes to roleplay more and sit around town, you may want the freelancer writ. What these writs do basically is that when you turn in your quests, you get a reward split between money and XP. If you select a professional writ, you get more XP but less gold. If you select a freelancer writ, you get less immediate XP but more adventure XP or delayed XP, and you also get more gold. But delayed XP, and you'll see that here, this perfect timing, you'll see that here in this little menu, every 5 minutes a server tick will go by and you'll get passive experience on that server tick based on your roleplay level and then whatever's in your adventure XP pool. So we're going to select, though, I highly recommend just selecting professional writ all the time. Doesn't matter which one of these you do, this is just roleplay purpose. Done. I'm going to back up a minute so that these people who are in can either turn in writs or select writs or whatever. I'm going to let them do their thing. Because I don't want to take up their time. I'm going to select professional writ. I will always say go professional writ. That's just my opinion. It's just the best one. Because at the end of the day, if you really wanted more adventure XP, there's a command you can use, a server command you can use to just add more to your adventure pool if you wanted to. So I personally just never see the need to do freelancer. But some people do it. That's fine. I for one, never do. So once we've gotten our writ paper, and we can see that in our inventory now, we've got these writ papers. Now we can go in and ask about available contracts, and these are our quests we can take. In some towns, it will tell you the level range of the quest right here in the title. Sometimes you have to click in to get the idea of like what level range you should be to do these particular quests. So the ones that I like to select in the beginning when doing Skull is I like to do the Founder's Cave, Help Out Win, which is local here as well. This is below a certain building. And then there's different ones you can kind of go through. I either do Goblins of the Weald or I do the Tin Mine. Typically I do the Tin Mine. However, you could do a basic patrol if you wanted. There's other things you could do, but I typically do the Tin Mine in the beginning, and I get like some assistance with it, and we go and slap it up. But the Goblins one's not a bad option either with a group. But we're just going to select the Tin Mine. There's others you can take that are pretty easy in the beginning. The Tin Mine, I would say, though, if you're depending on your build, you may want to have some partners. But Help Out Win and the other one, the Founder's Cave, can pretty much be done solo with just about any build. And I think my game might have crashed. Okay. My game crashed. We're going to restart the game up. Technical difficulties again. Doesn't usually happen. I'm still connected, so I got to give it a few minutes for them to kick my character off. Skull sits on the Distant Shores server. There's different servers for Aerolith, but this is just different regions of the same thing. Basically, each of these servers all connect to like one global thing. So it's all part of Aerolith, but it just like depends where in Aerolith you are. So if I left Skull and I'd say I went to Corridor, I would go to the Corridor and Plains server. It would just auto-transfer me there. You'll be bouncing between all of these servers as you progress through the map and travel places. So don't be too worried that there's like that you need to join certain ones. Like you will join between these different ones as you travel. And they'll tell you in the port when you go to like teleport places with the portal system, it'll tell you which server that area sits on. Because sometimes some servers may crash randomly, and so you need to wait before you teleport over there. What the hell did I even name the character? It was Kurt, wasn't it? Yeah, there we go. All right. Alright, now that we've left the mayor's office, we're gonna go do a few things to get our guy kitted out a little bit better. And I don't know, they may have changed how this works, because I know they've moved some stuff around. I haven't played on Skull since some of the more recent changes, so bear in mind there's some things I need to like relearn. We're gonna go to the forge. Is this not the forge anymore? Is this the longhouse now? Ah, Jesus. They've, like, moved everything. Where the hell's the forge at these days? Used to be over there. I guess I gotta look at the map now. They've changed a few locations. There's the armory. Armory's over here now. Okay. Perfect. Alright. So first things first, I'm going to change my weapon out. I don't want to use a light flail. I'm going to go by here. You always start with this iron dagger. And if you plan to use the iron dagger, go for it. But otherwise, sell it. You're going to get some good starting coin right from selling that. I'm going to sell the flail because I'm not going to use it. We're going to keep the shield, though. You usually will start with 2 clothing options. I'm just going to get rid of one of them because we only need one. But I wanted to buy a longsword. We're going to use a longsword. This is that NUI option I showed you earlier on with the turning on. This is like if I wanted to buy multiple of something here, I can put a number in here, and then when I click to buy it, it'll buy that amount of that item that I want to buy. We're not going to bother with any of the shields. We're gonna start with all of that. This will be our starting setup. There's a few other things we're going to do, though, to get us ready, more ready for doing these starting quests. If you want to be more roleplay, you know, whatever, and you don't want to be walking around with your shield and sword out, you could, for instance, like select a spot on your hotbar, and you can drag both the shield and the weapon into one slot, and you can click on that, and it'll unequip them and put them away in your inventory if you don't want to look like be walking around with them all the time. Right, we're going to come into the mercantile here. It's got a bunch of different shops and stuff for us, but it's also got a bank in here. And in the beginning, you have nothing in your bank, but you can take up to a loan of 1,000 gold. And it's not like you have a time frame to pay that back. It's just whenever you put money back in your bank, it's just you're going to be in the negative, so it's just going to keep feeding until you're all right, whatever. In the beginning, we're going to select withdraw, and then we're going to type in 1,000 in the chat. We're going to hit enter, hit continue, and now it's going to say we pulled out 1,000 out of the account. Now we're at negative 1,000. So with what we sold in that, we're sitting at 1,200 gold. There's a few things we're going to snag that we're going to need. First things first, before I buy any scrolls, we're going to be getting scrolls. Before I buy any scrolls, we're going to need to get healing kits. And those can be they may have changed the shop that you buy them from, but you can buy them from the pastor here. There may be other locations now you can buy them that they've added since I last played here, but in here they're going to be under miscellaneous. You're going to see these healing kits, and we're going to use these basically to heal with. We could buy potions. The downside with using potions is that every time you use a potion while in combat, you take attack of opportunities from your enemies, so when you use healing kits, you don't. Very helpful. But there's a time and place for using both of them, trust me. You'll learn, like, you'll be doing a combination of both. So we're going to buy about 20 kits. That'll be just about enough for the start of this. I'm going to use the rest of that money for a few other things. So we're going to go back into the trade post here. We're going to come over to this guy. And he is the scribe. And he sells all sorts of magical scrolls. I'm just going to move out of the way so I'm not in the way of the shop. And you're going to see a whole list of scrolls and stuff. If you have like a custom UI editor and stuff, right, it's going to change the looks of the icons. I'm very vanilla with my UI setup, so that's why it just looks the way it does. If you have a custom UI add-on, it's going to look different for you. You may not be able, well, actually, it's not covering the scrolls that I want to buy. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to buy some mage armor scrolls. We're going to buy, I'm going to buy about 2 mage armor scrolls. We're going to buy some shield scrolls as well. So we're going to buy about 4 shield scrolls, I'd say. And for the last 2, I'm going to buy, and I don't know if you can see it, my camera, oh no, it's not covering it, cool. We're going to buy a magic weapon scroll. And then I'm going to also buy a protection from alignment scroll. Other people may say, here's some other ones you should use or other things that could be helpful. There might be other options. This is just kind of a base kit, like rounder one I like to buy. Resistance wouldn't be a bad one. Endure elements wouldn't be a bad option. There's different ones that can benefit you. I'm just going to select protection from alignment. So with that done now, we've now got some scrolls that are going to help us. And this is where I said one of the key things on the server is lore. Lore on this server determines not only if you're able to identify what an item is, but it also lets you utilize spell scrolls. So you can now, as a fighter, I can use these scrolls to enhance my AC and all my stats and stuff like that to help me be more tanky and such. Oh. It's one of the NPCs. All right. Now that we have our healing kits, we've had our potions. I'm gonna bind these potions up in here too, so I can use those when needed. Don't think we have any other skills we're gonna be using. So now that we have our we've used up our starting money. We got some healing kits. We got some scrolls. We've taken our writs now. We've got the missions we want. We're going to get started on our first mission. I'm going to pull my weapons out here. What I need to do is I need to check to make sure that my hydration and my rest and all that are taken care of before we go out. So if you're not sure what it is, you can scroll up in here and you can see when the last tick was to kind of see what it was. But if you don't want to go through all that scrolling, you can use a command. And it's going to be -date. And what that'll do is it'll give you a bunch of information. It tells you the current day, the month, the year it is, and then like what time of day it is in game. It'll tell you your current roleplay bonus, how many crafting points you have left available, and it'll also tell you if you have any adventure XP stored in here. But it also tells you how much food, how good your hunger is, your water, your rest, and if you have any piety left or whatever with your gods, it'll tell you that. And then also, if you're ever concerned, if you don't know if you can take more writs today, if you're like, has it been 19 hours? It'll also tell you how long you have until you can take writs again. If you don't see this thing here, then you can take more writs. It also lets you know what god you're on. So it's a good command to write down and keep somewhere. You're going to be using that date command a lot. But you can see we're kind of exhausted, so we need to rest. And until we have more levels in fighter, we can't rest in armor. So what I like to do is I like to bind my armor I wear and then a clothing that I wear to like different keys here, and then I can select my normal clothing. I can hit R to go to the rest menu, and then I can select 1 for rest. And our character will sit and rest, and we'll see that our rest goes up over time. If you go above 50% rest, you cannot rest again until it goes below 50% or until I think a half hour goes by. So since we're still below 50, we're just going to rest up again. The times that you would not want to be like fully rested all is if you're like playing a spellcaster. If you were playing a wizard or something that requires you to like keep spells memorized, it's good to be on like low rest at times so that you can rest multiple times during certain like adventures and such. So you can get all your spells back and keep pushing through the dungeons. But we're just a fighter, so we're just gonna boost it up. We're gonna drink. You should start with some food and water. We're gonna drink some water, and we're gonna have some food. So we're good on that for a little while. I don't know if people are gonna do certain dungeons already. It looks like people are walking to certain spots. We may just do. Oh, he's going to the forest. This is a new area that they've added in a more recent update. We're gonna see if anybody's in the cave. Oh. Excuse me. Alright. So now that we're rested up, we've got our hydration and food up. We might actually go. Really not in the mood to roleplay at the moment. Who is this? I don't even know. I like his fucking... So, one of the nice things is that people will usually help you out. If you're a new character, a new player, whatever, like, even a new character, they'll see if you're going on an adventure and if they've got wards to help you out and bolster you. They'll help, you know, help you out by giving you a bunch of buffs and stuff to boost you. So, normally I would say yes, but for the sake of this video, I'm not going to accept it so you can see kind of what I'm doing. With the starter, I want to just kind of give you more of that true experience. But like normally I would say yes, accept any kind of free buffs people are going to give you because it's going to help you a lot. They usually give you a bunch of stuff that's going to make you kind of overpowered for the dungeon. But like I said, for the sake of this video, I'm just going to decline them so I can kind of show you with the scrolls that we bought what it's going to help us with. So I'm going to cast Mage Armor on myself, which is going to give us more AC. We're going to cast Protection from Alignment. I'm going to go with Chaos. You could do Evil, depending, but a lot of these creatures you fight early on, they're not necessarily evil creatures. I'm going to do Chaos. It's going to help us out. Gives us some bonus to saves, as well as like some deflection AC to certain alignments and such. We're going to cast Magic Weapon on our sword. This is going to give us a +1 enhancement to our weapon, so we'll get 1 additional AB now. And then we're going to cast Shield on ourselves, and this is a 10-minute buff that gives us +4 deflection AC. And you can see that here you'll see these icons on the top right that we have our buffs going. You can left click on them and they'll actually print out how much time you have left on the buffs and what they're doing to bolster your defenses. And other stuff. So you can click on all different ones and it'll just give you printouts so you know how long you have left on certain buffs and such. But now with everything done there, we're sitting at 24 AC, which should be decent enough for this dungeon. We could be a little bit higher, but for what we've got, we're going to have to make do. So we're going to go through our first dungeon here, which is the cave. The Founder's Cave. And hopefully nobody's ran this dungeon yet. I don't know yet. It looks like some doors are open, so somebody may have already come through here. And sometimes you can see footprints on the floors that we just passed over some tracks, and you can see if people have passed through here some time ago or whatever reason. Certain classes and other stuff will get like bonuses to reading those tracks and give you more information. My guess is, though, based on the fact that I'm not seeing anything, I'm going to guess somebody is either in the dungeon currently or just came through here not too long ago. And in order to reset an area, nobody can be in the area, and you gotta wait like I think about 5 or 6 minutes. Yeah, I see bodies here, so somebody's been here. So I'm gonna actually go back the way I came, and we're gonna go to a different dungeon. One of our other quests is to help out Win, which is below this other building in town, so we're gonna go there instead. And hopefully nobody's doing that. You're going to find this a lot in the early game, especially on Skull. There's going to be a lot of people already running the content you're trying to go to. So it's good to like meet up and group up with people if they haven't like gotten too far in and you can get your quests done. But sometimes, you know, you join in a little too late. Did I just... I just went in a circle. I feel stupid. Anyway. If you've noticed that they've traversed the majority of the dungeon, though, it's usually best to just head back and come back at a later time, unless you think you can catch up in time before they kill, like, the final boss of the area, because a lot of these missions will have you kill, like, a unique enemy, and so if they haven't reached that, sometimes you can, like, rush to find them, work together to kill that enemy, and then come back to the dungeon later and just kill stuff earlier on and then leave. Anyway. Somebody's in there killing stuff. We'll come back to that later. Let's go see if anybody's below the place we need to go to. So here we are, Rat Hunter Win. We're going to go in this building here, and hopefully nobody's been in here in a moment. We had to kill a bunch of rats and stuff in here. And looks like we just caught up with somebody who's in here. Like I said, this is going to happen a lot. I'm going to go to the roof, though, and see if they've killed any rats up here, which sometimes rats spawn in here, sometimes they don't. All right, so we got caught in the unfortunate circumstance that people have already kind of started these writs. We can kind of go in the basement and see if we can catch up and if they want our assistance and work together. But looks like they pretty much whipped through this, so we're not going to be able to help them. All right, well, can't do any of these, and I wouldn't say we could solo a good chunk of the tin mine. The only one we're going to have a difficulty is the final fight.